What's good, everyone? Welcome back to some more Hardcore Minecraft. Last episode, I asked for some name suggestions for this happy ghast right here, and there were a lot of great suggestions. And I had trouble deciding, I gotta be honest, so I just ended up going with the top comment. So we got Fish from L4910. Thank you so much for the name suggestions. I think Fish is perfect. Also, last episode, we built up the wood storage facility using every single type of wood that this game has to offer in this build. And I think this thing turned out really, really nicely. I like this nice pop of color that we have over here now. It is actually a really cool view as well, like walking through this pathway. Just through the trees, it just, you can see more of the building as you go. This build looked cool. I'm really happy with it. It always just, starts raining whenever I start talking. It's kind of inevitable at this point, I guess. But for today's episode, right, it's almost day 600 in this world right now, and I've done pretty much no work with villagers just yet. The only thing I've kind of done is I've saved this zombie villager over here. That's like the extent of my villager work so far. So I kind of want to get started working with one of the most annoying mobs in the entire game. But if you remember back to episode 1, one of the rules I wanted to set for myself in this world is I'm not allowed to trade with villagers until I build them like a dedicated building of some sort. And that's exactly what I want to start working on today. I want to get mending. It's about time. My tools are all about to break. My leggings have 7 durability left on them. Quick editor's note here. My leggings actually ended up breaking after doing a little bit of terraforming that you'll see in a second. So they no longer have 7 durability remaining. My chest piece is going through it. It's down to 40 durability. It's not looking good here for the tools. So I think mending is definitely something that we should get very soon. And I kind of have an idea in mind. I want to build some type of bookstore. I think that'll be a nice cozy little area to have a couple mending villagers. Well, we only need 1 mending villager, but a couple librarian villagers, for the rest of the trades that we're going to need. I don't want to abuse them too much. I don't want to get too many really good trades right away. I'm probably just going to stick to mending for this episode and then maybe just have a couple other librarians that I can cycle through later if I figure anything else out that I want. And I think I'm going to put this build kind of close to the build from last episode. I want to make this area over here kind of nice and colorful. A bunch of different buildings, probably a similar style of building, but I just want to make the colors pretty drastically different just to make this area really vibrant. That's kind of the plan over here. So if I pop in free cam for a second, this area over here looks interesting to me. There's just a lot of terraforming that has to be done to it to make it buildable, There's this weird river thing. It looks like it's supposed to connect up over there, but it just doesn't. And then even further off this way, this doesn't even go into an ocean. Well, maybe it does all the way over there, but at least not super close. And it's also gets broken up again by the village. This weird river is just in my way, and I don't like it. So I think the first thing I should do in this video is just prep this area to be built on. It's probably going to take a little while, but I do have 2 double chests full of dirt in my starter house, and I imagine that's probably going to be enough. And you know what, since it is raining, this feels like a perfect time just to start a quick terraforming time lapse. So let me cut to that. That took a pretty long time. It's now day 604. I don't remember what I ended at, but it's probably been at least a couple Minecraft weeks since I was last talking. But the area looks way better now. I'm going to peel back here once again. Much nicer area to build on. This hill got a lot more gradual here as well, and then a lot of the water that was in this area just got completely covered up. But that's fine. I don't really mind the water getting covered up. It wasn't really leading anywhere anyway, so this works for me. I did have to take out a lot of the trees in this area too, just so I can get a better shape of the land as I was terraforming. I don't really like having trees in the way. So I'll probably have to come back through and replant those or build some custom ones eventually. I don't know what the plan's going to be just yet for those. But now we have this huge flat area where we can begin construction of this bookstore. I do actually have a lot of blocks gathered in these chests as well. A lot of this stuff I just had. So we didn't actually have to chop down too much. I think I just had to get some birch and some moss. Pretty sure those are the 2 blocks I had the least of. but everything else was kind of just in my storage room. And before I do any kind of building, I want to go over the color palette that I'm thinking of. Now I'm going to break this building down into 3 different color palettes. There's going to be one for the foundation of the building, one for the walls of the building, and then one for the roof. This is actually exactly what I did in my last video. If you haven't seen it, I built a church in my survival world and broke down the color palettes exactly like this. And it worked out really well. So I'm going to do it again here. The first color palette I want to go over is the foundation. So I'm going to make this mostly out of stone blocks, and more specifically, mostly out of stone bricks. But alongside this stone brick, I'm going to pop in a little bit of regular stone, a little bit of cobblestone, and then if I want to, I might extend it to mossy cobble and moss. That's just like the natural progression of stone for me. So I'll probably ending up in moss at some point, but I don't want to make it very mossy, and you'll kind of see why. But a little bit, I don't think will be that bad. I also do have some mossy stone bricks, so I can even just go stone brick, mossy stone brick directly into moss. So I can also go that way. And I would also like to probably work in just a little bit of mud. I think I've done that on this world a few times already. Yeah, I definitely did on the barn over here. Can I see any? You can barely see some right there. Just peeking over the trees. I like working in a little bit of mud when I'm working with regular stone, just because it looks like a regular piece of stone covered in mud. And I think that looks really nice in just little streaks every so often, so I might work that in as well. I forgot about these tough blocks as well. I did grab some of these, so we have some tough bricks and some regular tough. I think that also looks nice branching off of these stone bricks. Just now we have a ton of different blocks. So I don't know if I'm going to use all of these, but I just like having the option to. So I'll just kind of see as I'm building how I want to texture this, but it's going to be some combination of this. Now for the wall colors, I mainly want to use stripped birch wood. I actually think this color palette will be a bit better seen if I angle them like that. Okay, so we're going to start with some stripped birch wood. I really like what oak wood looks like next to stripped birch. It just gets a little bit darker. This provides a really nice shading effect. I might eventually then branch that off into just some regular wood planks, because that gets slightly darker just because of these lines here in the middle. I feel like from a distance it looks a little bit darker than the stripped oak wood, so that's probably the darkest we're gonna get in this color palette. Though I do have a little bit of mud that I kind of just want to see what this looks like. Yeah, I don't really feel like that works. I feel like that's too much of a jump. So more than likely we're gonna end up at these oak planks, unless I can figure something else out, I guess, while I'm building. I'd also like to work this birch wood into this bamboo wood, and all I'm gonna do to accomplish that is just use a little bit of birch plank. So strip birch plank into the yellow bamboo wood. I think that looks really nice as well. Might look a little bit weird up close, but from far away, these colors mesh very nicely together. So I think something like that is going to be the wall color palette. I don't know if I'm going to extend this further, because I could potentially work in some of the green bamboo and then some moss. That also looks pretty decent. That might be too much. Like, that might be too drastic of a difference there. I could make that a little bit more gradual if I work it in this way. That makes it a little bit more gradual, but I just don't like the texture of the bamboo here. So I'm gonna leave the gradient like this. If I don't like extending it all the way to the moss, I'll probably just stop it at the yellow bamboo blocks. But those are gonna be the walls, and now the roof. The roof is going to mainly be out of moss. This is why I mentioned earlier that I don't really think I'm gonna work in too much moss in the foundation or now into the walls, because I do wanna make most of the roof out of it. And I don't want there to be just way too much moss in this build. That might not look good. But now with this moss, I can definitely work in a little bit of this bamboo wood. That looks really nice together. And I also have a ton of green concrete powder. So I also have this. I actually think this gradient should be a little bit different. I think the bamboo into the concrete powder and then into the moss. Yeah, I think that looks nicer. And then to make the roof look a little bit more run down, I can definitely work in a little bit of mossy cobblestone and then a little bit of tuff. So something like this will be the roof color. This is the color palette we're going to be rocking with. I think these are going to look really nice together. A lot of overlapping blocks, you know, a lot of moss in all of these sections, but I think it's going to be okay. I do kind of want this building to be a little bit overgrown. I just got to make sure I don't go, you know, overkill with it. But now that I have this figured out, let's start another time lapse and get this bookshop built. We got it, finally. Mending for 20 emeralds. That's not so bad. I will definitely be taking that. Hey, just to see. What is this next enchantment gonna be? Loyalty 3. Alright, I'll re-roll this villager later. I'm not as concerned about them. But mending has now been acquired. Let me go grab a lead, and I can actually bring these villagers over to their new home, which you can actually kind of see peeking through the trees right there. But what do you guys think of the place? It's pretty cool, right? You are locked in on the side of this man's head. You have no idea what's going on. But yeah, this is definitely better than the houses you were staying in. But let's go, gentlemen. Let's get inside. And you're just going to chill there for the time being. I do eventually want them to be chilling back here. I have honey underneath this moss carpet, and that's how this whole back like row is going to be. So when they're back here, they're not going to be able to jump out. And hopefully they can still access these lecterns here. I don't know if they'll be able to with the trapdoors on top of them, but if they can't, we can figure out another solution. But yeah, that's my idea for back here. I just don't have enough honey right now to actually put them back in this spot. So for the time being, they're just going to kind of chill on this boat. But here's a look at the interior of the place. I actually did completely finish this as well. I think it's pretty cozy in here. A lot of paintings. You know, got a lot of foliage kind of chilling around. A bunch of bookshelves and whatnot. I don't have nearly enough books to really fill these in. But I figure whenever I beat the game and hit up the stronghold, I can just gather up all those books and then start filling in all of these bookshelves. And we can probably just take some additional bookshelves as well alongside the books. So I'll probably fill this area in a lot more in the near future. And then we also have this little extension. This is supposed to be like a coffee shop of sorts. My idea was like, you know, like a Barnes & Noble type situation where there's a Starbucks attached to it. And I figured this was a decent spot to have a couple brewing stands. And, you know, this could actually be where I brew some of my potions. I feel like that's actually a good use of space over here. And it looks pretty good. There's a small area to sit on the inside here. There's another area to sit over here as well, just to read, do whatever you want. And yeah, I think this interior came along pretty nicely. Oh, there's also an area to sit outside too. I wanted to have some outdoor seating because I figured it made sense. But yeah, this is the build in its entirety. I think it's pretty nice. I like the color palette a lot. I think it looks nice with this build next to it as well. Like, they are very similar styles, just completely different block palettes, and I think that's okay. I also have to go through and wax a lot of this copper. I haven't done that yet. I actually want it to stop at this stage. I'll probably have like a combination of the completely fresh copper and then this like slightly oxidized one. I think this one looks really good with the rest of this color palette here. I could let it oxidize all the way down, but I feel like the blue might mesh a little bit with like the green and the roof. I just think it would look a little bit odd, so I don't really want to go that route. But yeah, I'm very happy with this build. It is going to be incredibly functional now that we have a mending villager in here. And we have another villager just to kind of tamper with whenever I get all the honey blocks set up back here. So the bookstore was the main thing that I wanted to build today, but actually while I was building that, there was something else that I thought of that I could definitely build today as well that kind of fits in the same vein of, you know, dealing with villagers. Of course, we have this zombified villager over here, and I didn't want to make this one the mending villager just because, you know, I'm only going to be buying like 8 or whatever mending books. It's not going to be that many. So having mending for 1 emerald doesn't really benefit me too much. But what does benefit me a lot is having golden carrots for an emerald. So I think I'm going to make this villager into a farming villager. And I think, honestly, the spot that he's in right now could probably work as a little farmhouse. I don't want to do anything too big for this guy. I think just like a tiny farmhouse build here next to the dock, next to the water, I think could be really nice. And that'll actually provide us a decent way of getting emeralds, at least early game. Trading with farmers isn't a great way of getting emeralds, even if you do cure them down a couple times, but it'll definitely work for me and, you know, for what I need emeralds for. Now, as for the color palette for this little house down here, I think it's just going to be really similar to my starter house. I don't want to go too complicated with this, so I just think like stones and spruce, a little bit of jungle and mud in the roof as well. I think that'll look really nice. I might end up making it a little bit bigger than my starter house though, just so I can fit, you know, a handful more villagers in here in the future if I want to. But I really don't think this thing is going to be that large in general. I should have all the materials collected up already. So let me just get this thing built up really quick. All right, the farmhouse is now completely done for our eventual villager. He's still a zombie. And I honestly just don't feel like going to the nether right now to get the stuff to cure him, so that's going to be like a next episode problem, I think. But let me just quickly show off the interior here. It's very basic. I just have some storage just so I can keep some like crops and emeralds and whatnot to buy some stuff from the villager. And it's just this floor with this little fence gate design just so he can't get out. I think this is a bit more humane than just kind of keeping him in a pod, so I'm good with this. There is a second floor, actually, that does have a little bit of space, but it's empty for right now. I figured I would expand up there whenever I get, like, too many villagers in this house and actually need, like, room to expand, but for now, I don't really need it, so I'm just gonna leave it bare. All that's left then for this episode is to just kind of tie in the new builds to the area. So, like, as of right now, they're both just kind of chilling here on some grass. There's not much going on around these buildings. There's no pathway connecting up to the bookstore or the new farmhouse. All I really want to do, honestly, is just connect the pathways up to the new builds, and then specifically by the bookstore, I want to put a couple custom trees. I think having 2 custom trees just kind of bordering the building will look really nice. So let me just grab up some stuff really quick just to continue working on these pathways. And then once these are fully connected, I can start working on the trees. Since I'm over here, I'm going to start with the pathway connecting up to the bookstore. And I think this is just going to be the same path block and coarse dirt design that we have most of everywhere else in this area. I just gonna have to figure out a good spot to actually connect this up to this main pathway here. I think probably like right there makes the most sense. Just kind of where I'm standing right now. So let's start with the path block and get this all connected. And then I'll run back through and border this with some coarse dirt. This is still my favorite path design, honestly. It's so simple, but I just feel like it works very well. I really do like the path blocks in this game. I used to hate them. I used to think they actually just looked really ugly, but they're so nice when you put some coarse dirt around them. And like I said, it is insanely simple, but this just works so well for me. All right, so I think this first pathway is now in a good spot. It's bordered with coarse dirt for the most part, and it fits with the rest of the pathway design that we have. I should also probably branch this off over here too. Kind of forgot that I put 2 entrances to this place. So let me just quickly throw this in as well. And I feel like this could actually be a good spot for like a little fence and like bush design to kind of like section off the outside seating area. So when we're back here to build the trees, I'll probably also throw that in here too. But with this pathway in, let me move over towards the new farmhouse. Let me kind of do the exact same thing. This pathway might be a little bit more interesting because this hillside is slightly steeper, but I think I can still do something to make this work. All right, let's peel back and see what this one looks like. Yeah, I think it's also a good shape. This one is a little bit weird. I had to terraform kind of slightly. You know, this little hillside here, but this works. I think that's a good pathway connecting up to the new farmhouse. So once again, let's go back through with all of this coarse dirt. The coarse dirt outline is now in, so this pathway is completed. I'll probably have to kind of go through and kind of add a bunch of small details to this entire pathway at some point in the future, putting like lampposts and bushes and other pieces of decoration. I kind of just want to get the pathway just down first before adding anything like that in, because it would be really annoying to have to go back through after detailing this a lot and take it all down and reroute it and stuff. So I figured it's just probably easier to do this for now. And then we'll have an episode in the near future probably of just like really detailing this entire starter area. That's kind of usually how I like to have my series. But with both of the buildings now completely connected to everything else, let me offload my inventory a little bit and I'll start building up some custom trees. And now I'm thinking that I want a couple spruce custom trees over by the bookstore. And I don't have any spruce leaves, so I'll have to go gather up some of those for sure. But alongside those, I also want to grab up some birch leaves, and I would also like to grab some oak leaves. Now, the reason why I wanted to get oak, birch, and spruce leaves is because these 3 leaves together make a really, really nice gradient. So going from the oak to the birch to the spruce, if you kind of do this deliberately when you're building a tree, it can look really nice. Like, and of course it's raining again. All of the areas of the tree that wouldn't really be exposed to the sun, I'm gonna use spruce leaves. And then the top of the tree, where the most sun would be like hitting it, I'm gonna have some oak and maybe even a little bit of azalea. That might be a tad bit too light for the scale of tree that we're going for, but one of these 2 blocks near the top is going to look really nice in contrast to this spruce. And then just to blend those together, I have some birch. And like I kind of alluded to, I don't really want these trees to be that large. So I don't know if I'm gonna use all of those leaf blocks. Like, I don't think we're gonna get to the azalea leaves, but it's all good. The oak, birch, and spruce should get the shading effect down that I'm going for. And I'm kind of thinking that where I just put both of those spruce logs will be the perfect spot for a tree. That should frame out the build really nicely. And I'm definitely going to want to add more custom trees to this area, just considering how many trees we destroyed to terraform this spot. But I think I'll probably have a whole bunch of custom trees in a singular episode. Probably the same episode that I was alluding to earlier, where I kind of revamped this whole starter area. But for right now, let me get both of these trees built up, and then once I'm back, I'll have some shaders on, and we can take a little walkthrough of everything that we built today. I've had these shaders installed for so long, and I still can't really get over how nice the water looks, dude. This looks beautiful. Oh, and if anyone's wondering, I found a copper vein, like one of those huge copper veins, where I was harvesting all my moss. So I just decided to collect it all up and smelt it down, just so I could get some experience. There's still a lot of copper left to go. I have to actually refuel this, but yeah, that blast furnace is going to hold a lot of experience once this all smelts down. So that's what that is, if anyone is curious. But the shaders are on, of course, so let's take a quick look at everything that I was able to build today. So up first, well, this is actually the second thing we built, but it is the farmhouse for the eventual farmer villager that's going to go inside. Hopefully next episode, we can get that work done. I say hopefully, it's definitely going to be next episode. I need to start getting a better food source. I'm so tired of eating all of this fish. It's just not great, and I want to upgrade to golden carrots as soon as possible now. I'm just over it. But let's take a quick wander down the pathway, kind of see how this all connects up, and we can take a look at the new bookstore, which is just right over here. I still really need to figure out what's going to go, like, in this area. There's a whole bunch of birch trees still, like, here, like, half chopped down. I needed it for, you know, the build. And I'll clear this all up, obviously, between episodes, but I have no idea what to put on this little hill, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, here's a look at the main build for the episode, and this one is going to be very, very important to us. We have these two, like, spruce-style trees on either side. I think they look really nice, and they do frame out the building in the way that I was kind of envisioning. Pretty big fan of both of those. I did also border off this little outside area. I really don't like what the copper lanterns look like with these shaders on, but it's all good. I did border off this area over here. We got the little B-dubs, like, leaves in the grass technique going on in a few spots as well. And also just a slight variation of that with some of these azalea bushes. Honestly, these are only here because I didn't have any leaves on me in my inventory, but I did have some of these. And I didn't feel like running all the way over to the barn to get more leaves. And I think they look good, so I'm okay with them being in the ground as well. And then I guess let's pop inside and say hi to the villagers once again, and look at this place with some better, worse lighting. I don't actually know if it's better. It's darker, that's for sure. Looks a little bit cooler though, I gotta be honest. But yeah, what's up? What's up, guys? How you doing? You still looking at the back of this guy's head? I guess so. But that's all I have time for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.